just returning from Kentucky, the land of my ancestors. Venerable Simke and I went to a Catholic-Buddhist interfaith dialogue for a few days. And this was at Gethsemane Abbey, which is a Trappist monastery that's been around since, I think, 1842. And my great-great-grandparents and other relatives are buried there, and actually they were married there, so it was interesting. And so I wanted to share some reflections, and I kind of want to focus in on the things that were most meaningful to me. And one thing I did while I was there, besides attending all the different presentations and sharings and meals where it's very rich to speak with people in other traditions, is I attended their services. These monks do the singing of psalms 7 times a day, starting at 3:15 in the morning, and the last time in the day is something like 7 o'clock at night, I guess. And so I went to a number of them each day. And it was helpful for me, being raised Catholic and having left that church as a child and having the child's mind about Catholicism, to revisit it as an adult. And so that was nice. But I want to focus on the thing that really I was most left with from this experience. We had the rare opportunity to enter into their practice, which was separate really from the conference part, but it was part of being there. We were invited to do this. And I found it quite, my main feeling I came out of this was this great feeling of hope, seeing these men line up and face each other every day, each day, for hundreds of years. And if you've ever lived in a community, you know how it is every day, each day, to participate. And so you're in all of your states of being and with each other, and they live a life of solitude similar to ours in a lot of ways, and different to, of course, a different belief system. But I found these men I found it very hopeful to be around men doing this. I think partly for me it's of having, for some years here, till about 1.5 years ago, there were some years where I didn't watch much news. I only talked to people, and I was away from the images, and images are very powerful to the mind. And so I found it so striking to find these men who were so human and so deep into their practice and so loving and peaceful. I found it to be very, very hopeful. I thought, wow, this is the image I want to carry rather than the things I see about in the daily news. And so this is a monastic life that they live through their faith. So I'd like to read this short piece that was in their visitor center. It was written by Father Matthew Kelty, who was born in 1915 and died in 2011, and he lived at this abbey, I think, for many decades. And it's from a piece called "My Song is of Mercy," and it's a short piece called "Contemplative Identity." And I hope this gives a flavor of how a monastic life can shape a person. Seeming to me, there's a lot of similarities no matter what a faith someone's in. And he says, any contemplative identity comes not so much from individual endowment as from the melding that follows on a common search. In the familiar terms of psychology, we would probably be safe in assuming most monks or monastics to be introvert and intuitive. It is not the practical aspect of life that attracts them, but the more inner experience, born of dwelling on the mysteries of faith. Against a background of psalmistry, singing their psalms, work, reading, the celebration of the Christian mysteries of faith, and our participation in the drama, by way of one's own life is the power that unites. Even a group as restrained and unobtrusive as ours reveals a love that cannot be hidden and is obvious to all who are sensitive and responsive. It is the quest of God that unites. It is a quest not through ministry and service of the people of God, but a quest within. By some instinct, as it were, men so endowed come here. The challenge, of course, is one's response to the call and fidelity to it. When these weaken or fail, the love of all will soon wither, for there is nothing to sustain it. Such a one will walk out on the monks without difficulty. We do not love one another because we choose one another as friends, no more than soldiers choose their buddies in the corps or players their teammates. It is the pursuit that creates love, nurtures and develops it. Call it a contemplative identity, if you will, a certain cast of soul that prefers inner to outer, pondering to preaching, quiet to action. In a context of beauty and peace, barren of noise and strife, contention and confrontation, such people thrive. And it is the whole that matters: church, chapter, refectory, work, prayer, study, silence, solitude. So that's in their words, in their tradition, what they're doing, and I think it puts together how there's this commitment to their view, to their life, to the style of their life, to their belief system, which has a lot to do with love. That definitely comes there, but it also has a lot to do with, in these psalms, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of lament, a lot of the joys and sorrows of all of humanity are portrayed in these psalms, including all the violence. And they chant these every day, and they have to come to terms with that, how to relate to this within themselves. And I think because they have this setting and their worldview, that it's it's quite palpable, I think, to people who come there and have a chance to spend a little bit of time and listen, especially when you are right in the pews with them, which we were allowed to be right with them, and you're getting up. I got up a couple times at 3:15, and you know how it is when we drag into the hall in the morning sometimes, and we know we've each had our day going on, and you just look at the other person and then you kind of just all get there and you do it, And so I found that same thing there. We weren't really a part of their larger community, but we did interact with there were about 3 of them that attended a lot of the conference. And I'm sure they have all the trials and tribulations that anyone has living in a family or a community. But at the same time, they have, their practices. And so, that's the opportunity that we have too, to do the transformation within the practices that are of your faith. So may we share that with others.